Linen is an ancient gift and even a health remedy that is so relevant that in Revelation it says, "And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean." And to talk about fine linen is my guest, Carmel and Vicki from Wholesome Vibrations.
Yes.
That's right.
Hi, thank you for inviting us today.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here from California, right?
Yeah, California and Wyoming.
I'm from Wyoming.
And from Wyoming, okay.
Yes.
Not just for the show though, right?
No,
Okay.
no, we're here visiting and traveling.
Okay, great. Well, I heard you speak a little bit on linen, so I bought one of your linen shirts, which I lost a button and I washed, yeah. So, but that's okay. But anyway, I'm so impressed with linen. I thought, like my flannel pajamas were the way to go. I mean, they're so comfy, but I also bought some linen sleepwear from you, and they're so amazingly comfortable.
Key for us, I think, when we started looking into the research on linen and the benefits of linen, we're from a large family, and so we had lots of what I call test subjects. And so as we started, addressing this situation or that and testing and trying it out on everyone, the sleeping patterns really would change. People that were there's 6 daughters in the family, and our mother, and my mother was a tailor for 35 years, and so we all grew up knowing how to sew. And so as we started developing this and looking at this, we would make different things that came to mind that would be beneficial. And one of the first things our thoughts were, well, linen helps your body restore, and so why not get it on in your restorative period? So our focus was really on nighttime use, with sheets, with pillowcases, with nightgowns, with blankets, with just about everything. We tried all of these things and kept getting wonderful feedback. One of our husbands who never could sleep well or fall asleep quickly at night, all of a sudden was amazed, and wasn't sure quite what it was, but was amazed of how well he was sleeping after the first night. The responses were incredible and quick, but probably one of the quickest responses was from the children. And I have 20 nieces and nephews, and so there's lots of children, and like I said, test subjects.
Yeah.
And we made them some sleeping sheets and things, and we make what's called it's a bedroll. It's a linen bedroll, and it's great for people that travel. So when I travel, I roll my linen bedroll right on top of a hotel bed, and I'm sleeping in my linen.
Oh my gosh.
And
do you sleep more comfortable? Because I sleep so
Yes.
poorly in hotel rooms.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and this makes a huge difference. And this bedroll is a pillowcase, a top and a bottom sheet all in one, and it rolls up into a roll like this, and this tall, it fits right in your suitcase. And so it's wonderful. But we made these junior sizes for our little ones, especially we have 4 babies close by that live by us, and so we made them theirs, and within 2 to 3 days, I think they were asking for nap time. And say, "Mommy, I'm tired, I'm ready to go to bed." And that was probably one of the most significant, because they're young, they're innocent, they don't have a bias. They don't have a bias.
No
They don't
agenda.
understand why, but all of a sudden they're putting themselves down for nap time and putting themselves down at night, which is unheard of for a 4 and 5-year-old.
Since you're bringing up that testimony, I want to read a testimony.
Oh, sure.
Okay, and this is somebody else without a bias, but instead of being young, they're very old.
Yes.
Okay, so it says, "I'm going to try to express rich blessings I have received from the use of your products. I am blessed to have been giving linen socks to put on my mother's feet. She'll be 90 years old. In April, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease about 5 years ago. She is also diabetic. Her feet were like hard chunks of ice, purple in color and lifeless. She always wore socks and slippers. I put the linen socks on and noticed within a couple of days how warm they felt. Within weeks, I could see her move her toes, tap her feet. The most amazing blessing was she started to talk simple responses she hadn't used in about 1.5 years. At Thanksgiving, she was able to make a choice on the pie she wanted and the topping. The blessings didn't stop there. We were given white linen sheets for her bed. She was very weak, no strength to lift herself out of her chair, out of her bed, walked very bent over at the waist. Her balance was not good, causing the need of her to help her if she was moving. Hold on, okay. Now, she walks straighter and gets up and down with no help or very little to get her balance, communicates on her own, asks questions, makes statements. She plays and smiles at her great-grandson, who is 3 years old. She is reading cards sent to her and asking who are Bill and Nancy. She read it right, which was a big thing for her, of course. Willingly takes her bath and has no fear of it. She flushes the toilet again. The linen has helped her with her incontinent problems. So, I mean, my goodness. I mean, this 90-year-old woman just had a life, was she 90, 92? Anyway, just a total life transformation.
Well, and this was an incredible situation, and she started with the linen socks, and the woman who wrote that, her daughter, had contacted us, called us, and suggestions, and what do you think? And it's like, well, we've seen it benefit hugely, so let's try it. So she started with the socks, and within a week or two, she had clothes, and she was using, and part of the what we have found, again, the nighttime use, but also getting the linen next to your skin is really the critical piece. So even if you're wearing other garments, either daytime, nighttime, whatever, but it's having linen on underneath and next to your skin really is, it makes a huge difference. So with her specifically, within a few weeks, she had her in linen undergarments. And while we made custom pajamas, because she needed special needs, so we made custom pajamas for her, and she was in linen 24/7 as that progression happened, and it was miraculous to see. It was really incredible.
Yeah.
And we talk about the science underlying this as to why this would even be possible. I think it's hard for people to even begin to consider that what they wear on their body could have any impact on health. And I have to tell you, when this business started, Carmel and I were in that camp. My mother had read about this, and we were just going up to visit my mother. And she put us in one of our old bedrooms on our old little twin beds, and she had made linen sheets for it. And we said, oh, linen sheets, okay, whatever, and hopped in, and we both said, oh, I don't know that I can sleep on these. They feel a little, and then it was, you know, and we're at an age, no offense, sweetheart, but we are, where we don't fall asleep that easily, and if we fall asleep, have trouble staying asleep. I don't think we woke up the next morning till like 7 o'clock or some crazy time for us, and we couldn't believe it. And I said, well, did you sleep well? Oh yeah, I slept like a baby. Yeah. But we didn't think that it could really be impacting anything. Later, as we did more research, we learned more about that.
Why it did. And I want to hear the science behind it. But first, I had been talking about the 10 Commandments. Okay, and I'm thinking, I should probably look at the laws, because I grew up in church and the law was always a burden that we didn't have to keep anymore.
Oh.
No, actually, what people really need to understand is the law is so simple. It was the extra laws that the Pharisees threw on, or the religious leaders at the time, but we have so many laws, whether a church denomination laws, the religious leaders today, or the government, they're throwing so many laws. And so when I'm looking at going through the Old Testament and understanding about half the laws there are for the temple anyway, that doesn't, in Jerusalem. And then so there's only like 300 plus things that God highly recommends, not for salvation, but he highly recommends, because we're his children, just like we recommend giving directions to our children. And I kind of looked at it, is this a statute, like health statute, that he recommends linen? There's foods.
Oh, that's a great question. And it's funny because you have those 300 laws, and so many of them we agree with him, like the law to not eat roadkill. That is in the Bible, do not eat roadkill. And not stated exactly that way, but do not eat roadkill. And we all agree with that. That's a pretty easy law to keep.
Don't drink blood.
Don't drink
Unless
blood.
it's cooked.
We happen to agree with that,
Yeah.
right?
Most people.
Yeah, there's nothing terrible at all in the laws.
Right, right.
And linen, it's like, what a great, suggestion. I mean,
Sure.
God might put a little more force into it as just a suggestion. These are my commandments, statute, ordinance. It says, they're forever.
Right.
But and that's depending on what denomination you're at, depending on whether you believe. But one thing I think that all of us can agree with, once you share the science behind it, is that linen is actually good for our bodies. So why don't you share the science then?
Well, and I will say that the Hebrew word for flax means useful.
Useful.
Useful. And you think about it, we eat flaxseed, that's good for us, right? And linen coming from the flax plant, also very good for us. Also, when our Messiah lived on earth, it was what we are told that he wore. He wore linen, a linen garment with no seams. So if God came to earth and said, what should I wear today? I mean, I know this sounds weird, but in a sense this is true. What should I wear today? He chose linen.